So welcome back to the speaker studio here at Open Banking Expo Canada, and I am delighted to be joined by Mike from Xero. Mike, good afternoon.
Great to be here. Exciting day.
Great. So you've been a busy boy. You've had a panel where you brought some of your SME friends in, didn't you?
Absolutely. Well, we decided this year was the time to get a little more aggressive, change the approach a little bit, and bring some of our accounting partners and SMB clients to the stage to give some real life flavor and detail to what they're seeing on the street right now and in their markets across Canada.
And can you give us a sort of 30-second, what did they talk about? What is it that they're seeing?
Well, fundamentally, we need open banking was the message.
Sure.
But I think what they're seeing is a disjointed financial experience. And what they need is access to information. So it doesn't sound like much, but if you're a small business owner trying to scale, you're in an environment where supply chains are a little bit disrupted. You have tariff issues right now with our US partners and globally. You have a cash flow situation that isn't as strong as it once was. Sales are down, payment times are up. And what they lack is cash flow forecasting and the right information at the right time. And with that comes access to capital and all the tools that you can access in a regulated and efficient open banking environment. But what they're seeing right now is a situation where they don't want to give their bank statements every 2 weeks to their accountant. They don't have the information to make a decision on hiring, on opening new business channels. And open banking can really enable a lot of that. But they were really focused on a lot of those pain points that I think get glossed over in the public narrative right now.
So is there some green shoots? Is there some progress being made? I mean, I know that Xero have got bags of experience from across the globe in other markets that are working with open banking. Are we seeing any of that in Canada that you can grab onto for our audience to at least smile?
Well, I'd like to be here next year talking about the great success of open banking implementation, but I think what we're seeing right now that to give us a little bit of hope is a renewed sense of collaboration, specifically between FIs and fintechs. I think everyone is very eager to move forward. We have a new government in place that we are hopeful will provide the regulatory guardrails needed. Mm-hmm. But what I'm seeing is an interest in working together and a renewed sense of excitement around bringing open banking forward through all players in the ecosystem. And small businesses are the main beneficiaries of that. I mean, look at the UK example and all the great wins that have come out of their small business sector as a result of this. So I think we're still early days in terms of what the next steps look like from a policy and regulatory perspective. But excited. It wasn't all negative on our talk.
Okay, good. Do you think regulation is the answer? Or we were talking with Jane from MX a moment ago, and she said it just needs someone to put their head above the parapet and run with it. Do you agree with that, or is regulation what is really needed?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, given the Canadian context and the Canadian financial regulatory setup, that can help be a major driver of widespread adoption. I think we do need leaders in both the fintech and the FI space to really push. And I think that'll come alongside each other right now, given what I'm hearing here at OB Expo today, given the renewed optimism that I just spoke about. But at the end of the day, people have to work and build. So it is a little bit of both. And again, we need adopters on the back end too. And that wasn't easy in the UK example and in our other markets, educating an entire small business sector on what this means to digitize and use these tools. And that's where I think someone like Xero can really play a meaningful role, is educating people around what this means. So I think it requires the regulatory framework, the first movers in the right spaces, and education from a broad, widespread business perspective.
Okay, great. So it needs to start somewhere is the summary, I think, right?
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Great. So what is the one thing you when we're sat on this couch in 12 months' time? Mm-hmm. What's the one thing that you're hoping we'll see? Is it simply adoption by someone?
Well, I think it's first mover leaders, but I think it's also just I'd like to look back and say that people took this optimism, this potential for collaboration, and turned it into something, right? And I think that is led by the FIs and the fintechs that really need to get this moving. So I'd like to be here in 12 months talking about the great wins that the small business economy is on the verge of. And of course, it's not all government policy that sets it up. It requires that first mover. So I'd like to be here a year from now, hopefully with more movement than last year to now. But certainly optimistic.
Well, hopefully next year you can bring some SMBs that are giving us some real good wins and have a panel of win all the way through.
That would be really nice. So
nice?
we could bring some from the UK to really drive it home as well.
Great. Well, hopefully here in Canada there'll be plenty.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are super, super optimistic in our work with the federal government that that'll be the case. But of course, there's going to be some bumps along the way. So I think the important thing to keep in mind is that the first iteration of a framework and the first iteration of products and the first iteration of these collaborations is never going to be perfect.
Sure.
But it's time to get going.
Great. And a great way to leave it there. Mike from Xero, thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of the show.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.